Hello, viewers of New Genesis. Welcome to the Halloween special. I'm your host, Dwaylen, the Arsenal Butler, and today we're going to get into some horrific things. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first question today is, what makes a horror movie a horror movie? You know, I asked a lot of people, and they gave answers like suspense. Some people said the music. Some people said the visuals. Some people said just like the sound effects and stuff. In my opinion, I think suspense and realism makes the best horror movie. You know, like the suspense, that feeling that you get when like the jump scare about to pop out, and they tease the jump scare and they play the music, and then it goes away and it pops out, or like you know something about to happen, a meeting about to happen between the character and the entity or killer or anything they facing about to happen, and you know that suspense, that feeling you get, anxiety, the feeling you get when you're watching the movie. And realism is another one too, because like when you find out it's real, like when they say based on a true story at the end of the movie, or they say based on a true story before the movie starts, you be like, oh, this could happen to me. Like movies like The Conjuring, based on true story, the Amityville Horror, The Exorcist, and probably many others out there based on true stories. So that's why I think a horror movie, like, well, the two things it need to be a horror movie. Throughout the history of horror, there's been a lot of different movies. I think they said that the horror movies date back all the way to like the 1800s or 1700s, between like horror, like written novels and stuff. But they said in 1896, The House of the Devil, aka The Haunted Castle, is credited as the first ever horror movie film. It could be another one, but that's the one they credited as the first horror movie film. I've never seen it. I just found it out, just like you guys found it out. I never seen it before. Maybe I should watch it after this. But that's credited as the first horror film. They said it's like 3 minutes long and stuff like that. I think the oldest horror movie I've seen that like was probably the Nosferatu, the 1920 or something like that, between those years. When I seen, it's basically just the film, and it's like music. It's silent. So they play like some music a little bit here and there, but it's solid acting. And, like the one I seen had a little music playing, but like it's silent, and like you basically gotta like see that. It show you like letterings between the scenes and stuff, that's like to give you like a sense of what's going on a little bit, but you basically got to figure it out. And like I think the acting skills back then was very good too, because there's no sound. They had no way like the sound into the film, so they just act it out, and you just gotta like use your mind and read what they say, and then like kind of see how they portray it on the screen, which was very cool. If you ever seen Nosferatu, that one right there, there's a lot of Nosferatu, but if you've seen the first one, it's real. It's real. I didn't see the full thing, but I seen like half of it. But it's a solid movie. It's solid, like that. You might see some versions where they put like a little orchestra music in it, but the movie is not meant for sound. Throughout history, there's been a lot of iconic franchises in horror films. There's been like franchises like Friday the 13th, the Halloween franchise, Nightmare on Elm Street. You got stuff like The Conjuring nowadays, and you even got some that I don't really like too much, like Chucky. You got stuff like that. So like horror films have been a lot of series and a lot of great like styles of horror and styles of like psychotic stuff and psychological horrors and a lot of things. But I'm gonna list you my favorite horror movies of all time. My favorite horror movies of all time. It's a long list. I can't get into them all, but I had to choose one movie. It'd probably be The Conjuring 2, because it depict and like kind of like give you like if you seen a real documentary, you seen the real stuff about the horror case that they had there, about the little hunting. It fits it perfectly. The actors look almost identical to them, and everything just fits perfectly. And having that the nun at the end of the movie, the Valak demon, was just perfect. And the movie to me it's the best one out of the whole series and the whole Conjuring universe. And it's just amazing movie. I also like movies like the Exorcist movie, the original Exorcist movie was pretty intense. Pretty crazy, got some supernatural stuff into it and stuff like that, and it's based on a real story too. So it like make you get that sense of like, oh shoot, that's pretty crazy. And then Poltergeist. Poltergeist is a classic. I think everyone loves Poltergeist. Poltergeist, the original one, is an amazing movie. It gives you everything a horror movie wants to give you. And there's a lot of other movies, like you have stuff like It. You got stuff like The Shining. And speaking of It and Shining, you have also underrated stuff. I don't think Misery get all the credit it deserves. It's a pretty great movie, and the novel is very good too. Read in the school, and then also movies like House of a Thousand Corpses. I seen it with my mom lately. A couple months ago, she showed me that one. That one was like freaky and crazy. Spellbinder, Dead Silence. I already mentioned the Amityville Horror, the original one. Even though it wasn't like, if you watch it now, you might say, it didn't show us the crazy stuff like that happened. I think it's based on the family that lived in the house after the stuff that happened. But it's pretty good. You can see them, they get like feel and they get horror, like things like the dad getting possessed, stuff like that over time, and showing glimpses, and pretty good like that. So those are some of the underrated ones you might want to go see if you haven't seen them. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Horror video games. There's a lot of horror video games, and like some of them are not too scary, and some of them not too like horror-like. But something that comes on top of my head is I had to put up there because you guys know I'm a big fan of Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is like a survival type of game, and just fit that little horror thing. You first play it. Now I played it too many times. I played it over 40 times and stuff like that. 40 times I beat it. So like, they'll lose the sense of feel. But when you first play it, stuff might get you. You don't know what stuff might pop out, or they might say something, or it might come around the corner and like get you like a little jump scare here and there. In a game like Silent Hill game, the old days, you played that before. That stuff right there might get you here and there too. Outlast would definitely get you. Like, I don't care who you are, Outlast would definitely get you. So those are probably some of the horror games that you can play if you haven't tried out. But those are the ones I probably think, based on my playing history, probably think it's the top ones. But there's probably some other ones, some ones that's better than that. Like, I never really played too much of the Evil Within, so I can't really give it a good description. But those two right there, the Silent Hill game on PlayStation 2, and then you got the Resident Evil 4. If you play it for the first couple times, it might get you a little bit certain stuff, and Outlast will get you for sure. Now we're on our last segment of the Halloween special, and it's some Reddit stories. Reddit stories can get real creepy. Some of them may be exaggerated, maybe. Some of them may be real, but I try to find the best ones to reach you guys, and I'm going to get straight to that. So let's get to it. Hello, watchers, and welcome to Stories of Horror. Today we take a dive into the stories on Reddit, some real life, true, horrific stories. So without further ado, let's begin.
My friend got possessed by Reddit user Make LL Marie. When I was in high school, my friend moved into a farmhouse. The house had a barn in the basement and stairs that lead to nowhere. The previous owner killed himself in the barn because the resident told him to, according to his letter. When moving to the house, my friend would never step into the barn. Not once would she even walk towards it. We thought it would be fun one day to have a seance because we was young and stupid. We had the candles and everything. I was sitting next to Katie, the one who lived there, and all of a sudden, when I asked him if whoever was there could show themselves, Katie squeezed my hand so hard, the candle lit, wavered, and she turned her head so slow to meet my eyes. What she said I would never forget. "Let's go to the barn. Someone there wants to talk to us." I let go of her hand and stood up. My other friends there turned on the lights and she blinked at us. What happened to this day, she can't remember that night. A week after our seance, her dad was found in the barn. He had shot himself. In his letter, he said, "I'm sorry. I had to listen, as if someone's told him to do it." This is a true story. It could have been a coincidence, back to back, but it'll always scare me, forever. Mama says I'm pretty. Reddit user. True story time. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor. I remember that it was in the middle of the summer. My mom had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the door frame of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3 to 4 seconds it took her to wake and asked me what was going on, we both looked back up at the door frame and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly. My mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we was on the first floor and it was maybe a 3 foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed and we were able to start screaming for help and someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night with a deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep. And that concludes our session. Do you believe these stories are true? Or do you believe these stories are fake? That decision is up to you. But until next time, I'll see you soon on Stories of Horror.
That was the last segment, and this is the last part of the video. If you like this video, and you guys hit that like button, you guys subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next week on New Genesis episode 4. Hope you guys enjoyed this Halloween special. The arsenal is done.